Captain Sam, can you hear me? On your left.
Thanks for the ride, Uncle Ben.
Wait a minute, Peter. We need to talk anymore. You shirk your chores. You have all those weird experiments in your room. You start fights at school.
I didn't start that fight. I told you that.
Well, you sure as hell finished.
What was I supposed to do? Run away?
No, you're not supposed to run away. But Pete, look, you're changing. I know. I went through exactly the same thing at your age.
No, not exactly.
Peter, these are the years when a man changes into the man he's going to become the rest of his life. Just be careful who you change into. This guy Flash talked. He probably deserved what happened. But just because you can be doesn't give you the right to. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Is that him?
Yeah, it has to be.
Peter! Peter!
Peter!
Peter!
Assemble. I am inevitable. And I am Iron Man.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Marvelous Discussions. So, Daredevil Born Again just came out, so we are going to review Season 2 of the original series, as well as a spoiler-light review of Episodes 1 and 2. Now, I'm well aware that likely when this review has been released, that Episode 3 came out. Unfortunately, was not out at the time of this recording, so Episodes 1 and 2, we will review at the end. So please welcome as I bring on Socks Bulletins. How are you, man?
I'm all right, man. Glad to be back. Let's do this.
Absolutely. Before we get started, though, One Punch Stand reminder. So it's pending a July 11th, 2025 release date. It depends if Zodwriter can finish the stuff he's going to finish on time, that he needs to finish on time. Because unlike a lot of other people, Zodwriter cares about quality. So he will push the release date if he needs to preserve the quality. But that's why I'm going to say pending July 11th, 2025. You got One Punch Stand and the Cordovan Speedster. Oh, God, I swear, it's hard to point. I'm pointing to Socks. I'm pointing to Socks, like the Cordovan speedster. Excited for this movie, Socks?
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. That's gonna be one of the biggest special movies of the year for me, man. I'm dying to see this. Zod's putting in a lot of work.
Absolutely. And until Zod Rider has more clips, there will be no more commercial breaks. Well, again, aside from what YouTube forces on you. But in terms of this video, in terms of what I put in, no more commercial breaks until Zod Rider has more clips. So, again, pending a July 11th, 2025 release date. And now, Socks, let's get started to our Daredevil Season 2. Season 2 will have spoilers. We'll spoil Season 2. The story. And Socks, I have to be honest. I have issues with the story. Because here's my biggest issue I have with the story, Socks. It has a lot of similar issues to The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Now, make no mistake, this is way better than The Amazing Spider-Man 2. But there is a similar problem. It feels like the story is really set up for other projects, for other stories, like Amazing Spider-Man 2 or The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I don't remember if there was a the, but anyways, there was setting up for the third movie, setting up for Sinister Six. And it felt like the actual story that they were trying to tell got lost in translation. The same thing I feel about this series, Season 2, is that you're setting up for Season 3. You're setting up for the Punisher spinoff. You're setting up for the Defenders. But it feels like in doing so, they forgot to tell Daredevil Season 2's story. And I think that's my biggest issues. There's so much stuff going on with, Punisher and with Elektra. The only time I was okay with that combination was during the trial segment, because that's when it worked well, was when you had Matt Murdock trying to balance his lawyer duties with the Punisher case, and then you have him being Daredevil trying to stop the Hand with Elektra. So I did like that segment, but the problem is before that and after that, it's like you're just hopping from one thing to the other, and it just feels disjointed. I don't know, Socks, what's your thoughts on this?
No, you're right. I can see what you're saying because I saw what you're saying in that, and I saw that happen again later on down the line in a different show where it seems like they're doing this story, then they're doing that story, and you don't know. It can be confusing because you're trying to figure out, okay, what's the main story here? Is this the main story here, or is this other story the main story here? Because it can be confusing. So I get what you're saying. We'll discuss that when we get the Punisher, his series on the line, because it's in that one as well. I know exactly how you're phrasing that, what you mean by that. But if they would have just focused on either the Punisher and on Daredevil, that would have been fine. And focused on Elektra for the season 3 of Daredevil, that would have been fine. But like you said, you're focusing on Punisher, you're focusing on Elektra, you're focusing on the Defenders. And it's not a horrible mess, but you definitely got to pay attention to everything. And if you miss like one episode, you're lost. You really are lost. I know that because it's like reading a comic book. If you miss one issue, like when the hell how did Batman beat Captain America? I didn't pick up issue one, and then you pick up issue 3. Oh, okay. Captain America wiped the floor with Batman. Now I understand the story. Well, you know what I mean. Move on.
Wouldn't happen though. That wouldn't happen. But yeah, I exactly though. That's it just, and it's hard to say, like, do I want, like, in the final episode he's fighting the Hand, he's fighting Nobu, but do I want to say they're the main bad guys because they're not at all referenced in the first 4 episodes? Like, I kind of have this thing where, to me, to be the main bad guy of a series, you have to have some sort of presence in the first episode, like from the first episode, or at least the second episode. But if you go not till the 5th episode, it's like, are you the main bad guy? And again, you don't have, like, that person himself doesn't have to appear, but maybe like someone working for them, or some way, some presence that they've been pulling the strings from this episode. But you don't really have that. So yeah, that's basically it. I feel like the story kind of does get hurt. I mean, there's a lot of great stories in there. I want to make this clear. There are a lot of great stories. Like the Punisher is a great story. The Hand is a great story. And even like setting up for season 3 of Daredevil, there's only a little bit of that. And if there was just that with something else, that would have been fine. And in fact, one of my favorite scenes of the whole series is in the setup for season 3, but we'll get into that later. But they just try to do too much. That's basically my main issue. They try to do too much. And I think Sox agrees with me. So anything else you want to say before we move on?
No, we can move on. That's all right.
The tone, atmosphere. Six. I'll let you start with this one.
Definitely dark, because right from the get-go, when we see the Irish mob, in that bar, talking about what they're getting ready to do and whatever and blah, blah, blah. And yes, people, there is such thing as an Irish mob. That is a real thing. They're mostly out of Boston, New York. They came into Chicago. That's a history that's not going to talk about another time. But there is such a thing of an Irish mafia. And they get ready to do what they want to do and take over. And all of a sudden you see bullets come flying everywhere. That's Punisher. Punisher does not hold back. He doesn't pull punches. He doesn't, try to get you arrested. He's trying to put you into the ground. Move on. That's Punisher. And they were not expecting Punisher. So even when, what's his name? Was it Officer Blake? That one,
Right.
Black Cop. What's his name again? I can't remember.
Brett Mahoney.
Brett Mahoney, thank you. But he's like, there's something coming down here. There's a war going on down here. We don't know who it is. That's setting up the tone of Punisher. And then when Punisher's going after that one guy in the hospital, which kind of bothered me a little bit. For the simple fact that I know Punisher wants to kill him, wants to catch him and kill him and all that. But he's shooting a gun off inside of a hospital with a bunch of people around, right? Including almost shooting Karen,
He was kind of addressing that earlier when he told Karen you were never in danger. I think Punisher's a really good shot, so he would be able to avoid the collateral damage with that. But they didn't know that. But you still have the issue of someone getting trampled,
Right.
But you know what? Let's continue that when we get to Punisher, because I like what you said there. But I think for me, the tone and atmosphere is that I have no issues with that. I think the tone and atmosphere is perfect. It continues season 1, the tone that season 1 set, and it sets up season 2 continues that really well with the Punisher storyline and the Hand storyline and the Fisk storyline that you see. It all works really well in this series, season. So the tone and atmosphere is great. Now, Sox, let's get to Daredevil. How do you like Daredevil this season? Matt Murdock. He's now Daredevil. He's no longer the devil of Hell's Kitchen. He is Daredevil.
He continues to impress me, man, with his, how he catches, how Charlie Cox catches the character of both Matt and Daredevil. How there is still a little bit of issue going on between him and Foggy, because Foggy knows the secret identity at this point. But, and he's feeling a little bit, you can tell he's feeling a little bit of relief because Kingpin is in the penitentiary on Rikers, but we both know how that's going to turn out later on down the line. And plus he's going to go hunting for Punisher, and oh boy. Boy, is that going to be a fight with him for that one.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. And what I like about this is that you really see Matt Murdock struggling with balancing his lawyer life and his superhero life, because you think about this. He was the one who pushed for them to take the Punisher case. He was the one who wanted to do that. Foggy was like, yeah, no, like, fuck that. We're not doing that. And then Matt Murdock's like, no, we have to do this. It's the right thing to do. And then he can't even make it to the trial at all. Is that he's missing every single court appearance that he's supposed to be at. I mean, there's certain times, I'm going to be honest, he could have probably told Elektra, no, I need to be here for this. I can't, because it's like, it wasn't just one opportunity. They were getting information. There wasn't anything coming up. Matt Murdock did not need to miss all this stuff. It's like, and you feel that struggle with him. You feel that he can't do everything. He cannot. He's letting his friends down. And I like that storyline with him, is that he has that moral debate. And then with Punisher, it's like same thing. It's like that guilt that he has that, oh my God, I inspire this. As far as a lot of people knew, Matt Murdock, the devil of Hell's Kitchen, Daredevil, inspired this, and struggling with that guilt. fighting the Punisher. So I think I do like his arc in this season. It's a little disjointed with the story, but I do like him. And then when he thought he had the upper hand with Fisk, when he threatened Vanessa, $6 on postage stamps. That's all I need to ruin your love. You'll see, we'll talk later about how that bit him in the ass, but Charlie Cox is still compelling us both Matt Murdock and Daredevil, and that's really true in this season. It was nice to see him in the actual suit this time, the actual Daredevil suit this season.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. I mean, that suit has grown on me. You know, a lot of people are saying, well, ever since he got the suit, where's the two D's on his chest? Eventually that's going to show up. I mean, we know it. I got a feeling we'll see that later on down the line as Born Again keeps going on, but that's another topic for another episode of this show. But the suit is, other than that, perfect for me. I love that suit on him. It works for him.
Well, it wouldn't make sense for it to say DD on it because he didn't come up with the name Daredevil at the time when the suit was made.
Right.
That was
Right.
that name came after the suit was made. Once the suit was made, then he was called Daredevil. So that wouldn't even make sense.
And Marvel had, what people don't understand about Marvel and the MCU especially, the MCU has a habit, if you ever been paying attention, of putting the final suit on a character then the very last episode or even at the final scene of a movie. Look at Spider-Man No Way Home. He puts on the comic accurate costume, right? Of No Way Home. So this is a trend that the MCU has been doing for years. So I'm okay with it.
It's a great suit, and I do like his arc this season. And another character I like, Karen Page. I'll let you start with this one, Sox. What's your thoughts on Karen this season?
When you find out a little bit of her backstory, I believe it was in this season, about with her and her family, you know,
it's
and how
alluded to. It's not directly. Season 3 is what really gets into it.
But with Karen, she also has to deal with the fallout of what happened to good old Wesley. But they talk more about that in season 3, if I remember correctly. But one thing that got me the most about Karen, I kind of felt bad for her because she's like, she is born. How do I say this? She and Matt are like together, but they're not together. And then when she comes into Matt's house, his apartment, and sees Elektra in his bed, that don't go too well, you know. It's like, and I'm like, oh shit, Matt. But back in my mind, I'm thinking, hey Matt, here's what you do. You convince both of them to you, her, and Elektra get. Never mind. I'm not gonna say it. It's gonna be a little too controversial. Don't say it, Doc. Don't say it, Doc. Karen, don't operate that way. You probably need it as Elektra. I don't know, Matt. Don't say it. Let's not move on.
Yep. But I do like Karen's arc this season of like when Nelson and Murdoch falls, when that firm fails, she starts to become a reporter and in some ways to carry on Urich's legacy, but also for Punisher, because she knows that the media is not telling the truth about Punisher. And she tells Ellison this, and then she slowly starts to become more and more of a reporter, you know, doing research for Ellison, being like, oh, the Bulletin gets the exclusive. That was the deal. And then slowly she starts doing like small tasks for Ellison. And he's like, oh, work in Urich's office. You know, just work there right now. You know, you can do your work there. And then slowly, before you know it, she's a full-fledged reporter for the Bulletin, which I like that. I know you didn't like that because in our last review, you did not like the whole that she didn't go to journalism school thing. But there's also natural skill, though, too.
See, now you got me in a bind here because now I kind of agree with you on that part. But then, don't you got to go to journalism school to get a degree in journalism to do this type of job? I
feel like any kind of major would be fine. Like any kind of writing major would be fine, I think. Even if you were like an English major or a writing major, or I don't know. Do you have to go to journalism?
I would imagine you would have to go to college to get a degree in journalism, right? Isn't that a real thing? Or am I wrong?
Maybe maybe there there is a journalism degree, but you may not need a journalism degree to get a job in journalism. If you see if you're a good writer, you may just be able to get a job because experience is
That's
worth
true.
more.
Stranger things have happened. I mean, it's writing for a newspaper is different than writing your own novel, right?
Yeah, but I mean, also you're reporting the truth about what happened. I don't know what's harder to do. I'm not going to get too far into that. But yeah, overall though, with Karen though, I do like her arc. And then when she and Matt start having a relationship, and I love when like Matt moved to like the cheaper place because he was more comfortable there.
I still
But
think Matt could have swung that between him, Karen, and Legend in a certain way. Never mind. My mind's going somewhere else. Never mind. Forget it. Nope, nope. I'm not going there. Forget it.
You're gonna
This
get
is
me
a PG
canceled,
show,
Fox.
not rated R show. That's all. Let's keep going.
Well, if we drop the F bomb twice, technically it's rated R because that's the rules for MMPA. You get one F bomb, not two.
Oh, okay. Well, I better not go triple X then.
But any other thoughts you have for Karen in it? Oh, I do like Karen. Karen is smart though. Like she knew how to get them out of trouble when they were all captured by the Hand in the last episode with the whole monitor on Turk. She knew that.
We can
She
move
knew what
on.
to
But
do.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Now, this person I think has one of my favorite character arcs in this entire season is Foggy. When he learns to really become a lawyer on his own, like he think about what he has to deal with. In the first few episodes, he's searching rooftops to find Matt. He has to make these bogus excuses to all these apartment buildings. Hopefully none of them contact each other being like, hey, did you know about this weird man who needed to be let in? Oh yeah, that happened to me too. Oh. I mean, like his fears about were validated in this season. And then he had to take the Punisher case. And he didn't agree with taking the case. And he put on a good argument. He stepped up as a lawyer in this season. I kind of joke that if Matt really wanted to like get out of it, he could have been like, "Oh yeah, Foggy, I just missed it on purpose because I was trying to give you the chance to step up because I knew you had it in you. I knew you did, so that's why I missed the trial. It had nothing to do with me flaking on it. I knew you could do it. I needed to give you that push because." Ironically, though, that's not what happened, but this is probably one of the best things that happened to Foggy because that's what stepped him up. He stepped up so much as a lawyer that even Hogarth from Jessica Jones hired him. That's a big deal. Like, he got that big cushy job he always wanted at the end, and I like the arc that they go through. So many times it's like friends fight and then they make up at the end of the season. They didn't do that this time. They actually had it where the two they're not really close friends. I mean, they still care about each other, but they're not really talking, and then Nelson and Murdoch is kaput. Done. Bam. The end.
Well, Foggy had to step up because where was Matt? Matt was in the courtroom, and the judge got tired of waiting and delaying, and everyone's in the courtroom waiting to do this whole, trial of Frank Castle. And Foggy's there, and Foggy's like, I gotta do this because I don't know where my partner is. Somewhat, I know what he's doing, but I can't talk about it. But I gotta do this myself. And Foggy stepped up. And sometimes people become great when they're under pressure. Foggy proved that he's one of those great ones that get forced under pressure. And Matt had to play catch up to Foggy for once. So kudos to Foggy.
Kudos to Foggy. Kudos for how he stepped up. And then even still his concern for Matt, searching the rooftops, getting to Nurse Claire. And even when that fight broke out in the hospital, Foggy talked them down. Foggy did that.
That was a good taunt down. I really appreciated Foggy for that. When he realized he was in a situation could have got him killed and other people was killed between those two game bangers, but Foggy just let them both have it. Like, this is what's going to happen, and you're going to have to deal with it. And I'm looking at Foggy like, dude's got balls, man. Dude has got some real serious adamantium-sized balls.
Yes, exactly. And then also when he has to cover for Matt, to Karen even, he has to lie to one of his friends, saying that Matt's an alcoholic. Because, Karen's not falling for all these excuses. He's such a great character all around this season. I think, as I said, he has the best arc, in my opinion, this season. Now, Mitchell Ellison. which again, editor of the Bulletin. What's your thoughts on this character?
He really did his best to redeem himself by giving Karen the job that, Ben had, because he was the one that basically fired Ben. Because he just didn't want to, deal with the whole situation anymore, and then didn't realize there was a natural mole in his office from season 1. And then when Ben was killed by Kingpin, he gave the job to Karen because that was his way of trying to redeem himself in her eyes, and hopefully save his soul for what happened to Ben. I didn't like Ellison in the first season because of that. It pissed me off. But second season, when he did what he did for her and then try to, cleanse his soul, right his mistake for what he did to Ben, I respect him for it. I was like, okay, he knew he made a mistake. He knew he screwed up. I'm all right with this guy now.
That's what I like about him, is that he admitted his mistake and he's working to redeem himself, because he didn't trust Ben Urich and there was a mole in his office. He has that guilt, and he can never apologize to Ben Urich. He will never be able to tell Ben Urich, I'm sorry, I should have listened to you, because he's dead. And that's the reality. That's why I always gotta be careful what you say to someone, because you never know when's your last conversation with them. But and so kind of you said, he's making up to it by helping Karen, but also not that. When he insisted on Karen getting protection from the police, going back to her apartment, Ben was like, I made this mistake with Ben. I'm not doing it again with you. You really feel that he is trying to learn from his past, make up for what he did wrong. And that's why I like Mitchell this season, is that it's his character development. It's the fact that, yeah, you didn't really like him last season, but you weren't supposed to. And now he's actually likable. But it's an actual progression. It's not like Amber from Invincible, where she's just written differently, and that's why she's more tolerable in season 2 than season 1. And FYI, I'm not watching season 3, boycotting that season. We'll get into that on another show. But anyways, it's a good progression, and that's why I like Ellison. He's a great character, and I can't wait to talk about him in season 3, because there's a lot to say about him in season 3. And he's actually one of the few Daredevil characters to make the Punisher series.
Yeah, I got to go back and watch season 3 again. It's been a while, but I'm gonna definitely do that again. I love that season, but I'll go back and watch that this coming week, because I know we're gonna review that soon.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that will be our next review. And now, let's move on to Elektra. Okay, Sox, you're the Marvel nerd. You know more, but I know nothing about this character comic-wise, so I'll let you be the judge. Did she represent the character from the comics well?
Yes. A straight up samurai. And yes, Elektra is a samurai. She's not a ninja. There's a big difference there. People don't understand that. There's a huge difference between a samurai and a ninja. By the way, a samurai can kick a ninja's ass any day of the week. That's a fact. Ninjas can't do shit against a samurai. These motherfuckers are straight up hard asses, okay? Like it says, Spartans knew what they had to do. They go in, they had to do what they had to do, and they get out. They are not meant to be weak. So, yeah, I'll give you an example in the comments. Elektra beat Wolverine.
Really?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, Sox,
Elektra
thank you for
beat Psylocke.
Beat who?
She beat Psylocke. If I remember correctly, I gotta double check, but I know she beat Wolverine.
Thank you, Sox.
But wait a
There's
a little hint. There's a part of this story you don't know. This is when Wolverine had the adamantium ripped out of him. And when Genesis tried to put the adamantium back into Wolverine, it made him feral. What that means is it made Wolverine more animal. So when Elektra beat Wolverine, he didn't have the logic in his brain yet. He was more like an animal completely. So that's how she beat him. If it would have been Logan with his intelligence, it might have been a different story. Because Logan is also a trained samurai. As like that cat, that dude that lives in DC, that lives in a cave. I know he's a trained samurai as well. So, yeah, remember that.
And speaking of DC, she did beat Catwoman in DC versus Marvel.
Letra's a badass, dude. I mean, she is, she no pushover, dude. She's very dangerous. Well, I mean, Elektra, Catwoman, I mean that I could see Elektra beating Catwoman. I mean, I mean, a better fight for Elektra and DC would have to be somebody like maybe what's her name? What's that one woman's name? Batwoman that has photographic reflexes. That would be a good fight for Elektra. That chick there.
I think they were going by popularity though when they were putting the slate together. But I also think because they're both anti-heroes too. I think that's the other reason why, because they're not like they're both similar in that regard. But yeah, I like Elektra in this series. And actually, Zack Snyder even said if he were to direct any Marvel character, he would want to direct Elektra. He said that. I know people were talking about Ghost Rider for him. If Zack Snyder wants to direct a movie with Elektra, you let him do it. You absolutely let him do it.
The way I think with Zach, man, you had to put him on like a rated R project. You can't put him on PG-13, and you got to be able to like, okay, Zach, you can do an MCU project, but there's certain, you got to go into Kevin Feige's vision, so you can have certain liberties here, but let's not go too far.
Zack Snyder is a team player. He is absolutely a team player, and Elektra would definitely be a rated R project, so Elektra would be perfect for him. But in this,
I can see that.
I do like Elektra this season, and I like that she's kind of a foil for Matt Murdock in a lot of ways, like foil for his lawyer life, and even screws up the case, even coerces a witness, making the witness invalid, which she's trying to help. She doesn't know what to do. That's the thing. It's like she doesn't have that moral guide of right and wrong this season. She's like, oh, you need this guy to testify. I will make him testify for you. She messed it up. But seeing her backstory, seeing how she was trained, like as a kid, by none other than Stick, but she is really like she is a badass. She is, and what I like is that she's a threat, but she made the heroic sacrifice at the end. Is that I'm the Black Sky. I know that I am a threat if they get to me, so I'm going to kill myself in order to save the world. I mean, obviously they brought her back to life in Defenders, but she didn't know that was going to happen. So. But she's a great character in this season. I do like her. The actress does such a badass job, and I think they're bringing the same actress back for Born Again now, if I'm correct.
Yes. Yeah.
Because she was a character they were going to recast, but when it wasn't going to be canon, when Netflix wasn't going to be canon, but now that it's canon, they're bringing her back.
Yeah.
I love her chemistry with Matt Murdock, and I like that scene where they're flashing back when she found the killer of Matt's dad. She found him. She did that. Yeah. And then she was about to kill him. Matt's like, no, we need justice. Give Matt real credit for that one. The killer of his dad, and Matt stopped someone from killing him. He's like, no, we got to call the police.
Matt is, he believes in, he's a Catholic, and he was trained to be a lawyer at the time. That's just who he is. He does not want to cross that line. He's not Punisher. You cannot write Matt like Punisher. You cannot write Punisher like Matt. Every character has to be written their own way. You gotta be able to, when you create something, you look at the character, what you want that character to be, and hopefully it stays to that core of that character forever. And that's just how that is. And I've heard people say, well, Daredevil was a pussy because he didn't kill somebody. That's not Daredevil. That's Punisher. It's two different characters, two different ideologies.
Same with Elektra. Elektra kills people, but Daredevil doesn't.
Yeah. Exactly.
And also another character I like this season is Stick, is that you really see Stick having the softer side. Because people think of Stick as this hardcore authority. He wants soldiers. But here's the big thing with people I don't think a lot of people pick up on, Socks. How does Stick refer to Matt Murdock as? What does he always call him?
Matty.
That's a nickname right there. That's a nickname. That is a pet nickname that either a lover gives or a loving parent gives. That is not a nickname that some authority figure gives. Like your drill sergeant would never call Matt Murdock Matty. That would never happen. Like Stick, as tough as Stick is, even when he was acting that way, he always called him Maddie. Stick is a character with layers that I really love. And he even tells Matt that he's proud of him. That is such a great scene right there. And I love when he actually met Karen. He briefly meets Karen this season, which I liked, and I love that too. He's just, Stick doesn't care that Karen probably shouldn't see this. It's like, you got a visitor. I'm not going to warn you. Not going to give you a chance to hide this. And then when Karen leaves, and I love when Karen leaves all upset, Stick's like, was nice meeting you. But anyway, Sox, what's your thoughts on
Stick
Stick?
does not have social graces, man. Stick does not
No.
have any type of social graces whatsoever. He doesn't. He just does not handle being. He's not a people person. Let's be real. Stick is not a people person whatsoever. He just does not know how to deal like that. He just like you can tell he feels awkward just to feel awkward. I think Stick would get along with Punisher pretty well. I don't think he would get along with outside normal people at all. He would get outside. He's like a bunch of bleeding heart idealists.
Oh yeah, no, Punisher and him I think would be perfect for each other. What are some other thoughts you have about Stick this season, about his story this season?
It's always good to see Stick because I read Daredevil over the years. I don't read him all the time like I do other characters, but I have read him over the years. Whenever something catches my eye, whatever. And whenever I would read Stick, I would always be a little happy because this is the guy that trained Maddie. He's the one that trained Daredevil into what he is. He's a mentor to Daredevil in a lot of ways. And I understand Daredevil doesn't want to be like Stick for how Stick is. I get it. And he shouldn't have to be. But there is a love-hate father-son relationship there. And he does look at him as his dad, and he looks at it, and Stick looks at him as almost like a son. And there's that dynamic. And I appreciate that dynamic because you don't see that all that much in characters anymore. I mean, you don't have that with Captain America looking up to somebody. You don't have that with Spider-Man looking up to somebody. You don't even have that with Batman looking up to somebody. I mean, Batman doesn't have, other than it was Alfred. He looked up to Alfred. But last time I heard, Bane killed Alfred in the comics. I don't know if that's still a thing or not, but you need those type of mentors with certain characters. I think I really believe that. I truly believe that. Maybe not with every single character, but when it does happen, I appreciate it.
And I think in some ways Stick is a good mentor. Not a perfect mentor, mind you, because he tells Matt to do stuff he probably shouldn't be telling Matt to do, and then Matt even has him tied up at certain points too. But of course, that wasn't going to hold Stick forever. I also partly think Stick was just letting Matt keep him there because I feel like Stick, it's just rope and tape. Stick could break out of that no problem. I mean, he did after he saved the day, after Matt Murdock saved the day.
Don't forget, remember, the Stick had those pieces of wood shoved up in his fingers. Oh, God.
Yeah, that is just painful. By none other than this man or his men right here, Nobu. And I do have a bit of an issue with Nobu this season, is that he's supposed to be the main antagonist. And this is where I say kind of my issue with the story is that this would have been better if he was either the only antagonist this season or maybe just like another episode arc. But I feel like I didn't hate him so much. I just feel like, again, he kind of suffered from the cluttered season by not really being developed that much. He comes back to life and then he dies again, but it's like, what makes this death stick? No pun intended, stick. I say stick, and then, but Stick kills him, but burning him didn't stop him. I mean, I could understand if you burn the body this time, but that's what didn't kill him. So, I mean, what are you going to do this time? Are you going to like burn the head in a separate place, or you're going to maybe take his head and put it in a locked box and throw it at the deepest part of the ocean? I don't know. I just that's why you got to be careful bringing characters back to life, because the thing is, what stops the next death? What makes the next death permanent? You got to establish some way that when you want to kill off the character for real, that no, it's real this time. He's dead. He's not coming back. He is dead, dead, dead. And that's something I feel like they didn't really develop that much. They did. I never felt like I got a real explanation that was totally satisfying. I mean, I guess what they're finding with the hand, but I didn't think they really found it yet, though. I don't know. Sucks. I'm rambling. What's your thoughts?
When they killed Elektra. Spoiler alert in case anyone has seen it. Yeah, she did die in this season. My God. And he's fighting Daredevil's fighting the hand, getting ready to get his hands on Noble. Punisher helps him. He takes out those two hand members next to him and kills both of them right then and there, to help him out. And then all of a sudden Daredevil's fighting Noble and he throws him off the roof. And then we see Stick just in there right then and there. The part that I like the most of that whole fight scene, besides Noble going flying off the roof like that, I actually did enjoy that. Is Punisher see you around, Red?
Yeah, and we'll definitely get into the final fight's its own topic, so we'll definitely get into that one. But yeah, I don't know. Nobu again, he was okay, but we just needed more of him this season. But speaking of Punisher, Frank Castle, Punisher, and it's funny because yesterday, as of this recording, I actually watched a Batman versus Punisher movie last night. The Accountant.
Fan fiction?
No, the movie's called The Accountant.
Right.
It
I've
stars
never
Ben
seen
Affleck and
the Accountant movie. I know part 2 is coming out soon.
that's what I'm saying. That's the one I saw last night for the first time.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet, so I have to. Was it
But
good?
yeah, basically, yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a really good movie, and got Ben Affleck and John Bernthal. They fight, and won't say too much more than that. If you want a Batman versus Punisher movie, watch The Accountant. But anyway, Sox, what's your thoughts on this character?
John Bernthal catches the Punisher 100%. The best version of the Punisher I've ever seen is this guy right here. This guy is spot on as Frank Castle all the way through, man. And it's so much because he actually went out and bought Punisher comic books to read more about the character other than just reading the script for the show. He went out and bought comics to learn more of the character, which I personally think every actor that takes a role on a comic character should have to do that because you get more of an insight of that character, depending on who wrote the character, of course, because not every writer is a good writer, but my God, he captured that character 100%, man.
Absolutely, he does. He is there is no Punisher other than this guy right here. And what I like, Sox, what I like about Punisher this season is that he proved to me once and for all that Batman would beat Spider-Man. And I'm going to explain how Punisher proved that because there's no doubt in my mind that Batman would be Punisher. That's a definite. You cannot tell me that that Punisher would be Batman. But then Punisher beat Daredevil. So now we know from that Batman would beat Daredevil since Punisher beat Daredevil. And then in Spider-Man, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, where it is an alternate timeline of the MCU, Daredevil beats Spider-Man. So now we know that Batman would beat Spider-Man because Batman would be Punisher, Punisher would be Daredevil, Daredevil would beat Spider-Man, so Batman would beat Spider-Man. So thank you, Frank Castle. Thank you for proving to me once and for all that Batman would beat Spider-Man.
Serenity now. Serenity now. Please, sir, give me help from my co-host, please.
But the one scene that made me fall in love with Punisher, well, not like that, but really gain great respect for him. When he's in that one shady shop and he's buying all that stuff, all that, and he knows, oh, the double barrels, I want that. Oh, keep the gun, I just want the bullets. He has everything he needs, and that greedy shop owner, he already got a lot of money, and he's still trying to make more. He's offering all this porn to him, and he's walking away yeah, whatever. the instant he mentions she's barely 12, Punisher I love that. He just takes the bat, turns around, and is like, no. Because his daughter was probably around 12 when she died. So it really hits him a lot more personally. And I was so satisfying to see. Now, I will say, maybe he should have left him alive just so he could get some information out of him where that came from, so he could take out those people as well and possibly save anyone who's been kidnapped. But other than that, though, that was really great to see. It's really great to see scumbags like that getting what they deserve. So go Punisher for that one.
I agree, man. That I knew watching him walk out and getting ready to walk out the door, and as soon as that guy said, she's barely 12, and he stopped, I was like, "You done messed up. You done messed up. You're done. There is no. You're gonna be knocked out in a jail cell later on. You're gonna be out 100% completely in the ground." And I knew it because there's certain lines you just don't cross, and he crossed it. And Punisher grabbed that baseball bat, and he went Negan on his ass. Walking Dead reference.
Yep. No, I've seen Walking Dead. Batman's father. Which that was so satisfying. But yeah, and I love Punisher's relationship with Karen. That little relationship they have is that Karen's the only one who sees the good in Punisher, and Punisher works with her. And I really like that they work together to uncover the truth. That was another great thing to see.
You can tell there's feelings between Frank and Karen there. I mean, obviously she has love for Matt. We both know that. But the dynamic between Frank and Karen, there's something there as well on that side of the fence, just by the way they interact with each other. I think she feels something towards Frank, and I know Frank feels something towards her, but Frank is not the type of guy that wants to be committed. His thing is he doesn't want nobody to get hurt because of who he is. She wants to try to help him. He cares about her, but you don't want to see Karen with Frank. You want to see Karen with Matt. And unfortunately, or if the show is anything like the comic, that's not going to happen. But that's a whole other discussion. And we all know shows don't exactly follow comics 100%, right? In this case, I hope it doesn't. I really don't want the show to follow the comic about what happens to Karen Page down the line.
Okay. We'll keep that. But another great part with Punisher's character is the rooftop debate. Okay, Sox, I'll let you start with this one. What's your thoughts of this whole conversation? So, just setting up the scene to make sure the viewers know what we're talking about. Punisher beats Daredevil, has him chained up. They argue about who's right. Sox, go.
This is right out of the comic. This actually happened. Okay, it's called Welcome Back, Frank. It was a Punisher art, came out in 2000. When Punisher was brought back to Marvel, they had the whole Suicide Run. Marvel decided to bring him back, and they made Marvel Knights. And Marvel Knights was Garth Ennis' first run on Punisher. He created this whole thing where you see Daredevil chained up on a roof, and the whole debate between Punisher and Daredevil. But that's where they got the idea from. But let's go with the show. Basically, what's coming down to this is that Daredevil believes in the justice system. He believes that people should be caught, arrested, put on trial, and, go to jail for their crimes and given a chance to prove themselves when they get out. Punisher doesn't believe in that. He basically says, I put them in the ground, they stay there, I'm done with it, I move on. What do? All you do is beat these guys up, and they get out within a day, within a week, and they're back on the street doing the same goddamn thing. I put them in the ground, they stay there. This is a moral debate. This is a moral debate. Who is right? Who is wrong? Now, mind you, Matt believes in the justice system. He's a Catholic. He believes in the law. He's all about the law. He's all about, being a Catholic, all about trying to fight for the right reasons for what he believes is the right way to do things. Punisher, Frank Castle, doesn't believe in the law. He doesn't care for the law because he feels that the law let him down. It didn't do right by him and other people. By losing his wife and children, he snapped. And he believes it saves taxpayer money. The law doesn't work. I need to step up and do what I need to do. This is a moral debate. Who is right? Who is wrong? Is there a right answer here or a wrong answer here? I've never been able to figure this out. Part of me agrees with Daredevil. Part of me agrees with Punisher. But you can't have both. You got to choose one if you had to. Again, but is that the right way to do it? Do you have to choose both? Or can you only choose one? That's a moral debate.
Yeah, exactly, Socks. It is an interesting debate between the whole, is it right to kill someone or is it right to let them live and kill other people? It's a very big debate. I mean, as a Batman fan, this comes up with different versions of Batman. Not Michael Keaton so much because he literally kills when he's basically Punisher, if we're being honest here. But Christian Bale's Batman, you have him saving the Joker even though he kills multiple people. Even Ben Affleck's Batman, even he mostly just kills in self-defense. I don't think I've seen him brutally kill someone as like an execution style, but that's still treated like it's wrong. But anyways though, it's really interesting with this whole debate. I love this debate. Like, what's the right thing to do? Because I'm kind of with you, Sox. I don't know what's really right because I mean I can't in good conscience say that Punisher is wrong, or completely wrong because like he's saving lives by taking out these people, and like even like the death penalty, that's not cheap. I don't know how true this is that it's apparently the death penalty is actually more expensive than keeping a prisoner alive because you have to do all this paperwork. I don't know how true that is, but there is definitely a lot of paperwork and expenses that's involved in like death penalty through the justice system. And also, New York, at least in the show's world, doesn't have the death penalty. I don't know about real life. I'm guessing they probably did not make that up, but it's a debate though, because like even still though, even with that though, it's definitely cheaper if someone like Punisher just does it on his own than going through the law to put someone down. It's just I love that debate. I mean, and that's because like as you said, Matt's Catholic. He has his beliefs. He has his beliefs that it's like one line. It only takes crossing the line one time before you start to do it more. It's kind of like the Injustice game. I played Injustice 1 and 2. Basically alternate universe. Superman kills the Joker. And before you know it, he just slowly starts doing more things wrong, more things questionable before he becomes a full-on dictator. And that's kind of the debate too. It's like, okay, yeah, you killed this person, you maybe saved lives, but now maybe you'll kill these people for lesser reasons too. So I don't know if they really necessarily went down that rabbit hole. I don't think that, but that's like the other sides of that debate, though. So it's a really great debate. I didn't like though how Punisher was going to kill that one guy, that one building manager. I don't know if he was completely bluffing or not, because he made it sound like he was bluffing. But I don't like Punisher killing innocent people. I don't know. I mean, maybe you'll agree with that Punisher will kill innocent people. But what's your thoughts?
That he wasn't going to kill that guy. He wanted Daredevil to think that. There was no reason for Frank to do that. He was setting that up just to, make Daredevil think that, because this guy didn't wasn't a killer or anything. He was just a building manager. That was like Frank told him that was for your, for you to think about, if you did something stupid, but he wasn't going to do that, Frank will only kill if he realizes somebody has killed somebody that's innocent. If you ain't killed anybody that's innocent or whatever, he ain't gonna touch you. That's just how Frank is. He's not gonna go around killing innocent people. It's just because he's not gonna cross that line.
Well, you don't necessarily have to be a killer. I mean, that shop owner didn't necessarily
Right?
kill
Oh yeah.
anyone, but
Well, yeah.
not saying
You
he's
know
any
what I
better,
mean.
though.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a bit of
Well,
a
yeah.
smartass.
Right, but he wasn't gonna do that, you know. And but unfortunately, we found out what happened to that old manager later on during the season when the hand captured him. Unfortunately, you know, in that bus.
I didn't recognize I was the same guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize I was the
Yeah.
same guy. You don't really see their faces that much, so yeah, I guess. Damn. Mind blown. Mind blown there. So now, though, let's move on to DA Samantha Reyes. I just, in some ways, Socks, I think she's more evil than all the other characters. Not the shop owner, but aside from him, I think she's more evil than all the other characters in this series. Like, my God, like she was going to kill people, ruin people's lives just to remain DA. It's like I love that. It's like, oh, she screwed up. She's the one who screwed up. She's the one who got Frank's family killed by not closing down the park, and she's doing everything she can to
Yeah.
hide traces of Frank's identity, which I don't get how that works completely. Because I mean, Frank still had friends probably in his previous life, still had neighbors who'd be like, "Yeah, I know this. I know this guy. I know this guy. What do you mean this guy didn't have a family?" So I don't know. There's still some, but I don't know. She is just like an awful person. Like she is like someone I just wanted to punch really hard. Like she was do anything to hide her mistakes, bury what she had, and she didn't care. She would screw over her assistant DAs. But you know what I find really funny, Socks? They made. Do you notice how in her death scene when they try to make her less intimidating? I love how they just put her in these casual clothes for no reason. Like I'm like, why are you wearing a sweater at the DA's office? Like, why are you like in pants, like regular jeans? It's like they totally did that because they wanted to make her look less intimidating. They're like, you gotta make her look less intimidating now. Let's just put her in casual clothes and make her look like she's wearing pajamas, basically. Was it weird to you, Socks?
It was, but you know, she was a dirty DA. Basically, that's what it was. She was a dirty person, and her comeuppance came up and got her, and she deserved it, you know, for what she did. And I thought she deserved to go because you know she was so worried that Frank was going to kill her, and it wasn't Frank. It was that you know that colonel that did it. You know, but she needed to go, and I was glad that she did.
Yep, exactly. And now, you know, it's so funny. He's listed as a main character this season and next season too, but honestly, he doesn't really do that much. Like this season, he hands Karen a file. That's basically all he does this season. I don't know. There's nothing really too much about him this season. I guess what's your thoughts on Blake Tower this season?
You could tell he didn't like his boss. The way when he's talking to Foggy and the rest of them, he didn't like the way that she handled things. So when he was able to hand the file over to them and step up and get out of her shadow and do the right thing, I kind of felt bad for this guy because he was being pigeonholed by her. But he got around her, didn't he?
Oh yeah. Yep, that he did. And you see how he advances next season. So, but overall, a kind of okay character. You don't really see him do a lot, but and now let's go on to Mr. Krabs, Clancy Brown. Money, 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 which is his motivation in this movie, too. His motivation for what he did at the end of the day was money, 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 money. Sorry, couldn't resist. I loved SpongeBob as a kid, so always have to call out Mr. Krabs. But I'm going to be honest, Sox. I liked his character, but this is another character that felt kind of got shortchanged because of the jumbled arc. Because in a way, he's like the main bad guy of Frank's story, of that arc, is that the whole thing is that he was the one who was causing all these problems. He was the one that Frank was after. But here's my biggest issue. He didn't arrange for Frank's family to be at the park that day. What are the odds that, like, the person who organized it just happened to be someone Frank knew? That's a little, it's like, Or was that a coincidence, or did he actually arrange? I don't even remember, honestly.
It seemed like his character was almost like thrown in there just to throw it in there, right?
Yeah,
Like
yes,
you could
exactly.
have did this whole show without having to bring him into this. I mean, there was really you had the Irish mob there, you had that biker group that was there, then you had another faction there, then you got Reyes with her, not closing out the park because she wanted to get everybody all at once. Then you got the blacksmith there because he's bringing in his heroin, whatever he's gonna do with his shipments, and then you got Frank with his family. So you got all these different things at the same time. That's kind of a cluttered mess if you think about it in a lot of ways.
In my opinion, this is what you could have done, Sachs. You could have plucked his thread out after, like, you could have left his testimony scene in there. You could have left that in there. But you could have plucked out
Right.
his stuff after that, and you could have put him in Punisher season 1. I think that he could have really fit very well in that season if you really wanted to use him. Especially, Clancy Brown's a great actor. Don't waste him on something like that. It just felt so forced that Karen finds out that he's the bad guy and he gets killed pretty quickly. I'm like, really? Really? This guy that Frank was looking for all this time. Like, see, that's another issue I had. Like, where again, if you maybe had this season be all about the Punisher, maybe you could have done something, you could have executed that a lot better. But because you had the hand in there too, he really suffered, in my opinion. I think this character really suffered, and I don't know, I want to include him because I think he is technically the main bad guy of that arc, even though he's just kind of, as you said, thrown in there. Just a thread you could have just. And also, I feel like Karen figured it out kind of quickly. I'm like, how did you figure this out exactly? Like, I know that you're supposed to be smart, but I didn't realize that there was anything too much of a giveaway that he really said. I have to rewatch that
It's
scene,
also
but
convenient, but it's also convenient that the Colonel's, house, mansion, whatever you want to call it, is on that land. And when Punisher, runs into the car, stopping her and the Colonel from getting away, and they're all messed up, and Punisher's going to drag his body out. There's a shed house right there with all these tools and weapons in it. And I'm like, did he know that this shed house was there this whole time? Punisher? Did he know it was there? Because
maybe
conveniently, I mean, how would you? Has he ever been there before? That part I didn't understand. It's like,
he was scouting it out before he rescued Karen. I don't. I mean, but even that, I don't. Yeah, it's to me a wasted character. I feel like they could have a character they could have done so much more with, but they really wasted him this season.
they rushed it. They rushed it, is what you're saying. They rushed it because again, this show, this season, especially this season, suffered for two different reasons. One, you don't know what is the main story. Is the Punisher the main story of this season, or is it Elektra? Because they go from the Punisher arc into Elektra, then back to the Punisher, and then to the Elektra. And that can confuse the general audience, right? Because you need to choose one story for 12 or 13 episodes, focus on that, and don't be making it a jumbled mess. Because, yeah, writing is good, but if you're adding too much at once, people are like watching tennis. It's like the story over here or the story over here.
Yeah, exactly. Wasted character all around. Wasted character. Claire Temple. What's your thoughts on Claire Temple this season?
I liked her. I always liked her character, man. Especially when she was in the hospital having to deal with the whole hand situation, and then those game bangers are about to kill each other with Foggy's there, and then she's helping out Foggy because Foggy knows that she knows something, and she knows something that Foggy knows something. So there's some sort of there's friendship between them two right then and there, and she's just so frustrated because she has her feelings towards Matt, but then she's watching how the hand just killed a friend of hers, and they buried the hospital the administration buried the whole thing about that whole situation about this guy that and it was like killing her, and he's a hand, and all of a sudden he has no internal organs, like, and they're gonna bury the story of how they killed this one staff member, and she's like losing her shit altogether. You could feel her frustration towards the administration of the hospital.
I totally understand her frustration. And like in her first episode with Foggy, I love how she made Foggy actually help her. It's like, hey, if you're gonna be here talking to me, you have two hands, you're able to help me, go. And but also I like that even though she's upset at Daredevil's bringing this mess to her, she's a nurse. She can't turn down help when she needs it. And honestly, Socks, I didn't get why she would have been in trouble with the administration. The police also came. It's not like it was just Daredevil. The police were there. It was the police asked her to do this. I'm sorry. If the police say, hey, you need to take these people in and help them, you don't question it. You do it. So I feel like she should not have gotten in trouble with the hospital administration for that reason. I feel like that was a little weird writing right there. But I love that at the end of the day, she does what's right. Is that even it costs her a job. It's like, I can't work for a hospital that's doing unethical things like this. It wasn't, no one was asking her to quit. Matt Murdock wasn't like, hey, you got to quit this. She chose to do that. And I like that she was the one trying to talk Matt into seeing Foggy. It's like, hey, I know you two have your issues right now, but your friend's down there. You need to see him. You need to see your friend. So she is a really great character this season. She's not in it a lot, but I feel like when you do see her, she is really great this season. And now, Socks, though, Wilson Fisk. Even though this is probably my least favorite Daredevil season, it has one of my favorite scenes. That courtroom scene with Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk. And Matt thinks he has the upper hand. It's like, I got $6 of postage stamps. That's all I need to ruin your relationship, to make sure you two never can be together. And that's when Matt had done messed up. Fisk breaks the handcuffs, and the way he loses, he like slams Matt down. That is such an intense scene right there. I love that scene so much.
Yes, the son of a boxer. When he went off on him and grabbed him and just told him everything, basically said, the guards are on his payroll. The inmates will cut out their tongues before they talk. I run this place. I'm the big dog up in here. And Matt's saying, you're the one that let the Punisher out. And Wilson Fisk didn't deny it, but people, and I looked at Matt, when Matt messed up, when he said about Vanessa, that's something, a very touchy subject towards Wilson Fisk, man. It's like, oh God, you saw the handcuffs come right off, and the way he just, that dialogue that Vincent D'Onofrio gives, man, his dialogue alone is terrifying because you believe it. You're literally pulled into this character. You believe what he's saying, man. You know that he's delivering it with pure heart, man, in the way he talks, the way he carries himself. And I felt that fear. And I know, and the way he's like, he's expressing it with his tone. And I knew right then and there, this guy's gonna be a problem in season 3 because he's gonna come out. We find out he does come out in season 3, and he gets out and he's able to work his way through the system again. Kingpin ain't no joke, dude. Wilson Fisk ain't no joke. people can sit there and laugh. Well, look what happened with Echo and Hawkeye and that whole thing. Forget that. Just look at him in Daredevil. What he does in Daredevil. I mean, the dude took a dude's head off with a fucking car door. Okay, that should tell you something.
It was not a joke in Hawkeye. Echo was an issue, but I don't think Hawkeye had any issues with him. The only people who complain about Hawkeye are just don't understand that Kate used a freaking bomb arrow on him, not she beat him.
I got along. I liked it. I had no problem with both things, because I read the books, so I had no issue with it. But there's people out here that said Kingpin was a pussy in both shows, and I don't see that. But hey, whatever.
In fact, that was actually Vincent D'Onofrio who requested his outfit in Hawkeye. People are all upset. That was get mad at Vincent D'Onofrio. He was the one who wanted. He was the one who pushed for that. Get mad at him. But I like his one episode arc because it's basically a one episode arc where he gains control of the prison. And you hear the word Kingpin used for the first time, not referring to Wilson Fisk. That's not till season 3, but the one Kingpin of the prison. And Fisk, the way that Fisk slowly took over, draining his funds because he knew the investment would pay off, to paying for protection, like the twins. He pays for their mom's rent forever, and he paid for that other guy, paid for something. I think he paid for his legal services. Donovan's like their lawyer now too because of Fisk. He gained that protection. He knew that. And then the way he used Punisher, because what I think some people don't know, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Sox, because you know better, people say that Punisher is an arch enemy of Spider-Man and Daredevil. That's true. But he is also an enemy of the Punisher. Like, he is a Punisher villain as well. So I like that he had some interaction with Frank Castle and that he used him to gain control of the prison. He used the situation to his advantage. You don't see Fisk a lot this season, but when he was in it, oh my God. Like, I think the quality of the show went from like an 8 to a 9 to a 9.5 when Fisk was when Fisk was there.
Well, what got me also was it didn't last very long, but the fight scene between Punisher and Fisk. Remember that fight scene there, just between them two? And even Fisk is like, unchain him, unhandcuff him. And they're like, are you do it now? And even though Punisher had already went through a fight scene, with the other inmates and killed all those guys, and I love that fight scene altogether. That fight scene between him and Fisk, man. Because I kept thinking, Punisher's tired, he's worn out from killing these other guys. And, Fisk is fighting a guy that's already, drained physically wise, pretty much. And I kept thinking, Fisk, you're dealing with Punisher. He's not Daredevil. He will kill you. He will kill you.
Yep, that he will. That he will. You gotta be careful who you mess with. I mean, he did end up being Punisher up, but still, though. Fisk is in those 2 episodes. I'm saying 2. I know he's technically in 3. I don't really count that end of the 9th episode, the first episode he's in, because it's just 2 lines, and I think they literally reuse that footage for the next episode. So the 2 episodes that he's in, and then you got that first hint. He knows Matt's identity. He suspects it. You don't know it for sure, but the fact that he trusts one of his people to call his lawyer for him too. It's like, call my lawyer. Enjoying his little steak and wine. He knows Matt Murdock. You better find out. Hopefully that does not come into play next season. Hopefully he doesn't figure it out next season. Oh God, I hope he doesn't figure it out next season. So yeah, like I think when Fisk appeared, you could see how much better this season got. So anything else you want to say about Fisk before we move on?
No, we can move on now.
Okay. Now, before we start this next topic, here's a brief March edition of Crime at Christmas Time, because the final episode of the season takes place during Christmas time. So the Christmas lights are out. Ellison's like, don't you have to see the family that none of us want to see? To Karen. It is a full Christmas edition. So here's a special March edition of Crime at Christmas Time. So anyway, Sox, what's your thoughts on that final episode and final fight of Daredevil season 2?
That roof fight with all the Hydra coming after him, and Daredevil was basically telling Electra, let's go away together. Let's leave. We survived this. Let's just disappear. I can understand him saying that, but deep down inside, he doesn't want to leave New York. Matt's New York through and through. He doesn't want to do that. But They go on that roof and they get ready to fight all those hand members, including Nobu. And man, is that a fight! That is a brutal, bloody ass fight through and through. Thank God for Punisher, because Punisher did help him. Punisher did kill a couple of those guys, and
The
I
only time where
appreciate
those two
that.
stories
See you
intersect.
around, Red. And watching Elektra die. Well, yeah. Watching Elektra die in Matt's arms like that, and then throwing Nobu off the roof. I actually enjoyed that fight. Not as much as I enjoyed the final fight scene in season 3 with Daredevil and Fisk, but we'll say that for next time. But that was a good fight scene with all of them together. I really enjoyed it. And I love what Stick did by taking, not this time. That was cool.
Stick was so done with that bullshit. But yeah, I mean, aside from some of the courtroom stuff, you don't really see these two stories interact until this happens, where Punisher actually helps Daredevil out. And I feel like they did that because they were like, okay, the story's a little jumbled. Let's try to bring it together a little bit. But I did like that. That was really cool to see, and seeing Karen use some of her intelligence in this, trying to, like, with the monitor with Turk, like saying, hey, activate your monitor so they know you broke parole. Now, granted, she kind of got some cops killed doing that because when the cops came over, they got killed. But greater good wise, there are a lot of hostages, so it was such a really cool fight. And then, like, after Elektra dies, because first it's Daredevil and Elektra, and then Elektra kills herself to save New York, and then Punisher steps in. It's like, because what I like about it, even though Punisher and Daredevil don't see eye to eye on everything, I think there's a respect they have for each other at the end. It's like, kind of like, I feel like it's a similar relationship to Charles Xavier and Magneto. Like, we don't agree on everything, but there's that respect they have for each other. Now, it doesn't start out that way, but towards the end, I feel like there is that respect. And then that end when Matt finally tells Karen that he's Daredevil was so satisfying to see.
Yeah. But seeing Punisher in that with that skull on his chest and helping Matt, that was his way of paying it back to Matt for what Matt did for him. And like about the roof episode, the moral debate episodes earlier, where he says, "Why didn't you take off my mask? I don't care who you are."
It was a great character trait with Punisher, is that Punisher knows what's important and what's not important and what he needs to focus on. And he knew that he needed to focus on this, on his mission. And yeah, it was a great episode overall, and I did like the final episode, the final fight. I did kind of like that they did put it during Christmas time. It shows how much time passed in the season. Like, it starts out, it's summer, they're hot, but I think it essentially took place during, like, the fall semester. Not that they're in school, but I think that's when it took place. It's hot, and then slowly, and then it's Christmas time at the end. So I thought that was interesting, but I mean, it doesn't really add that much other than just signifying time. But yeah, overall, I think the final episode was great. The final fight was great. Again, seeing Punisher and Daredevil finally teaming up, finally working together, and Punisher burning down his house and sees that little disc from Micro setting up Punisher season 1. So overall, great episode. So anything else you want to say about the final episode?
No, that's about it.
Okay. Okay, now, normal background. So, anything else we missed? Anything else that you feel that we should discuss for this season?
I can't think of anything. Can you?
Brett Mahoney was cool. I don't think too much about him to deserve his own topic, but I do like his attitude, his banter with Foggy, and his rise to detective. I do like that he
Yeah.
did take the collar, but he did take. I think that's what you call it, take the collar when Daredevil technically captured Punisher. I like that, but other than that, I don't know, not too much. So now, final thoughts on season 2, and your rating. Let's go, Sox.
I gotta go with I gotta give it as a rating. I gotta go maybe a 9 because I felt there was too much with different things in this season with Punisher, Elektra, Nobu, and so many other things going on at the same time. And I don't feel like it was rushed or anything, but I felt that you should have just focused on one thing, not maybe too many things at once. But I don't hate this season, but I'll definitely say a 9. I think a solid 9 is good. I'll go with a 9.
And I would say for me, I think at the end of the day, the writing, it's not the, I mean, there's some writing issues I had with it, but overall, at the end of the day, the issue is just the story. It's too much jumbled stuff. And to me, if you get the story, if you have story issues, it's hard for me to rate it too high. As much as I want to, because there's so much great stuff in it, but the story needed. So as much as it pains me to give this under a 9, I have to give it an 8.7125923 out of 10. I'll give it an 8.7. I'll give it a B plus, even a low B plus. But at the end of the day, you needed one focus or find a better way to blend the stories together. But this it didn't really work for me because the storylines got sidelined, and that was the problem. So yeah, I definitely think season 2 is the weakest of the Daredevil seasons. But overall, though, it's still an enjoyable season. It's still worth watching. And now, Socks, Daredevil, Born Again, episodes 1 to 2, spoiler light. So again, we are only going to talk about episodes 1 and 2 because I'm well aware that when I'm releasing this will be after episode 3 comes out. But when it's being recorded, episode 3 has not come out yet. So Daredevil, Born Again, spoiler light, 1 to 2, episodes 1 to 2. So, Socks, go. What's your thoughts on these first 2 episodes of Born Again?
Really good. It sets up, it has the feel of the original Netflix series, that dark and grimy way of how they did it with the Netflix series. We do see some light moments early. Well, in the very first few moments of the new episode, episode 1, there's a few good lighthearted moments before all chaos came down on it later and 20 minutes later after episode 1 premiered. But without spoiling anything, and it's hard to do, I enjoyed how the first 2 episodes set up the whole new season. I do hope that the rest of the season is really good and we had no real bad problems along the way, like being all mucked up from Disney or whatever. I don't think it will happen. Hopefully I'm right, and the season will continue being just as good as the first 2 episodes were.
I hope so too. I do think there's some room for improvement because there were certain moments where I feel like the tone with Kingpin, there were some kind of comedic moments with Kingpin I wasn't really happy with, but I'll explain that more. It just, I don't know. There's just something a little like it's kind of. I feel like Kingpin we remember is slowly coming out there, but I feel like he's kind of hidden in there. I feel like we'll see him. I feel like we're gonna see that Kingpin, but I feel like he's like recovering from the trauma from Echo. We'll say that from the Echo series. I feel like there's some trauma he's recovering from. But I do love Vanessa in this series. Like seeing again, spoiler light, so minor spoilers, you kind of see her be more involved in the crime family. And we'll say that. She's more involved and does a really good job in her role. And that was really cool to see. I'm glad they brought the original actress back because, again, continuities. If you're going to say that the Netflix is canon, you got to treat the continuity as important. But one thing I will notice, though, Socks, is that I'm pretty sure that they did not refilm all the episodes. I'm pretty sure that it wasn't like they started everything from scratch. I think they actually kept a lot of the footage that they already shot before the revive or the revamp of the series. I think there's a lot of initial footage that they used in there. Like scenes are being recontext, basically. And I feel like you can kind of tell that because Karen and Foggy were not originally going to be in this series. They were going to be completely, back when it was a reboot, they were not going to be in it at all. But they're in it, but it's very, very minimal. You don't see them a lot in it. We'll say that. And I feel like that's partly done because they're trying to make the footage that they already filmed work. So they're kind of throwing them in there here and there, but you're not going to see them a lot because of that. But I will say, Sox, I remember you said that Jessica Jones was supposed to be a supporting character this season, but the actress had a scheduling conflict. You can tell that there is a role that's in this movie. I'm watching this. I'm like, this was going to be Jessica Jones originally. I bet you anything that this role was supposed to be Jessica Jones. And I think you know what I'm talking about, Sox.
It's the part that I'm thinking of. Yeah, probably.
And we'll confirm when we're done recording. But
right.
yeah, that. But you know, she's coming back for season 2,
yeah. What I do
anyway.
know is that if I remember correctly, before this whole, because the show got fixed because Feige fired all those writers from the original run of this show for Born Again, because he bought those She-Hulk writers that wrote Daredevil Born Again, and from what I read online and from different sources, Matt Murdock was going to put on the Daredevil outfit until like episode 4, and it's supposed to be more of a comedy. They would have killed this whole thing altogether, and you wouldn't have seen Foggy or Karen. So Kevin Feige saw that and was like, nope. He got rid of all this and he scrapped it all, and he brought in the Punisher showrunner. He brought in other writers, real good heavy hitter writers that wrote Punisher and Daredevil and so on. I feel who else he brought in. He brought in a martial arts stunt coordinator from the Punisher series, I believe it was the show. So he wanted to make this what it was supposed to be. Thank God he did, because we dodged a bullet, my friend. We dodged a bullet. Because I'd have cried if they would have did to Daredevil what they did to She-Hulk. Oh my God. I would have cried. I would have like, I'm going to take a bottle of bleach and pour it in my eyes. I'm not going to do that, but still you get the idea.
Yeah, I know. I get exactly what you're saying. And I totally understand, because I would have butchered one of the best parts of, or probably the best part of Marvel, the MCU, is, to me, it's Daredevil. And I'm glad that they fixed this. Now, again, I think there will be some of their writing will still be in there, but I think a lot of the scenes that they wrote will be recontextualized. And I think I kind of notice it a little bit, though, because that's why certain things are the way they are, because I think there's a little bit of that She-Hulk writing in there, but it's like context makes everything, right? Context can change one scene from something crappy to something good. And I think they're recontextualizing a lot of the footage so that it fits more in the serious tone. And there's this other character, this kid character, who I wonder if she was really meant to be related to you-know-whom. I think they might have even thrown that in there. I think this character might have already been cast in a role, and she is related to you-know-whom.
Yeah, she is. She is.
So, but like, I think the character was meant to be in it, was not to be related to this character. And then they added that in there. That's what I'm saying.
Got it.
We'll get it. And that cameo from that minor character at the beginning of the series, I was like, holy shit, this character's back too. The first episode, I was like, yes. Like, they really work to make it feel like it's a continuation of the Netflix series. Even the theme. Now, the theme is a little different. It is a different theme, but there's like little elements of the original theme in there.
I can't wait to be able to do the whole spoiler for all the spoilers on this new season, but it'll be 2 weeks from now after we get done with season 3, and then we can go into doing Born Again. But when we start talking about spoilers for Born Again, man, oh my God.
Oh,
wow.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I think I think we'll stop right here because I think it is kind of hard to talk too much about this series without getting into the spoilers, but I'm really excited though. So coming up, we will be reviewing Daredevil Season 3 next. Spoilers from episodes 1 and 2 will be in play next Marvelous discussion. So I will put a warning in the next episode, so be on the lookout for that. And Socks, thank you for joining me for another great series. And guys, if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more unique takes, interesting thoughts, and great discussions such as these. And on that note, any final words, Socks?
Ta-ta for now.
Have a marvelous day.